The subcommittee will come to order. First, I would like to welcome our new members to the subcommittee. As we begin this new Congress, I look forward to working with my wonderful friend, the ranking member, Mr. Deutsch, the returning members of this subcommittee, and our new members, so that we can continue to work in a bipartisan manner to conduct our oversight responsibilities and further advance our foreign policy initiatives and priorities in the region. After recognizing myself and ranking member Deutsch for 5 minutes each for our opening statements, I will then recognize any other member seeking recognition for 1 minute. We will then hear from our witnesses, and without objection, the witnesses' prepared statements will be made a part of the record, and members may have 5 days to insert statements and questions for the record, subject to the length limitations in the rules. I would like to remind audience members that disruption of committee proceedings is against the law and will not be tolerated. Although wearing themed shirts while seated in the hearing room is permissible, holding up signs during the proceedings is not. Any disruptions will result in a suspension of the proceedings until the Capitol Police can restore order. And we want you to stay because it's going to be a good hearing. So please don't leave or let yourself be left. The chair will now recognize herself for 5 minutes. In the wake of the administration's failed attempt at achieving an Israeli-Palestinian peace agreement last spring, Abu Mazen and the Palestinian leadership have increased in both intensity and pace their scheme to achieve unilaterally what they have refused to do so directly with the democratic Jewish state of Israel, which is establish an independent state of Palestine. The latest and perhaps most dangerous manifestation of this push was when Abu Mazen and the Palestinians acceded to the Rome Statute to join the International Criminal Court after last December's Palestinian-backed UN Security Council resolution failed. That the administration was unable to prevent the Palestinian leadership from going to the UN and then again to the ICC underscores the notion that our credibility and leverage have waned so much to the point where our diplomacy efforts end up doing perhaps more harm than good. The situation and these problems perhaps could have been avoided had the administration taken a tougher stance with the PA, using the only real leverage that we have, namely the hundreds of millions of dollars that we give each year, instead of coddling it and refusing to cut off the aid, hoping and wishing that Abu Mazen would change his tune. President Obama should have immediately suspended all aid to the PA once the unity deal between Fatah and Hamas was announced. The letter and the intent of the law is clear. No funding can go to a power-sharing government that includes Hamas or a government that is backed by the terrorist group. Instead, the administration interpreted that the new PA government was formed in a manner that did not trigger this law. That was a huge mistake, as it once again undermined our ability and credibility on the world stage, only served to encourage Abu Mazen to further challenge the U.S., to further challenge Israel, believing that he had been given the implicit support of the administration. And now we once again find ourselves in a situation where the administration is refusing to follow the letter and the intent of the law in the wake of the Palestinians joining the ICC and the ICC opening an investigation into Israel over alleged war crimes. The ICC has already shown its overzealousness, which should cause concern. It admitted a non-state party. It's attempting to claim jurisdiction over a non-member state. It has signaled that it is willing to use political determination rather than legal ones. And it is essentially defining Israel's borders and the borders of a non-existent state of Palestine, which is completely beyond its jurisdiction. U.S. law is clear that should the Palestinians join and initiate or support an investigation into Israel, all funding for the PA must be suspended. Yet the administration not only continued funding, but it requested $370 million for the PA in the president's budget released just 2 days ago. Congress must not allow the president to continue to ignore the letter and the intent of the laws that we pass. Abu Mazen must be held accountable for his actions, and the PLO must be held accountable, and we must also hold the president accountable to uphold the laws. It is long past time that the administration reassess its policy approach to Israel and the Palestinians. What has resulted since the administration failed to achieve a bilateral agreement between the two parties last spring is the litany of foreign policy failures, one after the other. First, Abu Mazen and PA's ruling party, Fatah, and the designated terrorist group Hamas formed a unity government. Tensions escalated between Gaza and Israel, aided by the incitement from Abu Mazen, which led to the brazen kidnapping and brutal murder of 3 Israeli teens by members of Hamas. Hamas launched a full rocket attack campaign against Israel, which then ultimately resulted in last summer's conflict in Gaza. Despite this, the administration continues to show its tone deafness when it comes to the Israelis and the Palestinians, and it's easy to see how its efforts at peace last year actually encouraged Abu Mazen to push forward with his unilateral statehood scheme, which has brought us to where we are today. Yet the administration focuses its time and effort to alienate our ally Israel and has taken unprecedented steps to openly chastise and criticize Israeli leadership in the media. Talk about misplaced priorities and failed diplomacy. And with that, I'm pleased to yield to my friend, the ranking member, Mr. Deutsch of Florida.